Now, let's talk about this wicked, wicked, wicked thing called Lake Lanier, which I don't know if you know, and maybe you've studied. Do you know how many flooded black communities there are in America? Meaning they've created lakes out of black communities.
Sure. I don't know how many, and I guess that's my next bit of research, but I do know that there was a town called Oscarville that was thriving. These were, I would say, freed slaves that, finally had gotten some independence and some land, and they, were trying to grow their 40 acres, with their mules. They had farms. I heard there was a racetrack underneath that lake. And I don't think there was like a fair buyout or anything. It was like hey, time, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here kind of situation. I don't think that they were removed peacefully. It was kind of by force. And then they dammed the lake. They dammed the two rivers and they created this lake. It's a man-made lake, but it wasn't done properly. And I think, to be fair, the engineering in those days, they probably didn't know what we know now. We have so much technology. They didn't properly excavate it. They didn't properly survey it. They didn't think it through, if you will. And they dammed this area and filled it up with water without really realizing what they were all the way doing. And there's just been so many deaths, I feel, as a result of poor planning. I think it's been poor planning.
So when you say so many deaths and poor planning, do you mean that there's like trees and buildings underneath the water?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I mean. There are trees. So think of it. If you cut a tree, cut the tops of the tree or cut it at its base, but you don't get all the roots out, it's going to grow again. And think about it, all that sunlight and water and DNA and whatever else is in that water. The trees are growing nicely, but imagine you're trying to jet ski or boat over this stuff. And, it's just a lot of entanglement. It's a lot of, the waters are ensorcelled. It has a really wicked history of how they drowned, people, how when you were crossing over the bridge from Hall County to Forsyth County, and they, made a lot of them have to jump over the edge. Like, no, if you cross over, you got to deal with the Klan on the other side. It was like really some wicked stuff, really wicked stories that are attached to the lake. And people don't believe in all the spirits and the energies, but I hope they believe in these funerals and this amount of people that they're losing. You forget what you believe in, but you do know that a funeral is a real thing. And, I'm getting a lot of pushback. I have a petition I started, and people are like, why are you talking about draining the lake? I'm really not talking about completely draining the lake. I need to make that clear, to everyone. You have to lower the water levels in order to kind of see what you're doing, to see the tops of the trees, or to see the racetracks, or the cathedrals that are still there. There's like churches and steeples and things like that underneath. They need to really clear it because the undercurrent is killing people. Yeah, it's like it's not smooth. You're going on top of something and there's a bunch of stuff underneath. So can you imagine how it probably swirls?
Yeah.
It's probably like mini tornadoes going on underneath the water.
Or you can get caught up in something, a
Debris.
treetop or an attic from somebody's house.
You
or
don't
a
know
roof.
what's in there.
That's insane.
Or the bones from lost bodies. You don't know what. That place is. And then they say, oh God, but it provides our drinking water. Well, God forbid. Is that hold up. Please say this is not what we're drinking right now.
Lord, not the drinking water.
Boil this first? We gotta
Girl,
boil this
we might need to pray over that, child.
Boil this water.
Right, it goes through a filter. But that's insane. Like I did not know that. I thought, okay, well maybe it's some folks that some spirits, because I feel like sometimes our spirits want to pay us a visit. But that's what I was originally thinking, but I never really thought that they didn't do their proper due diligence.
I just don't think they did. Like I said,
they just flooded it without removing.
Well, and they also didn't have the technology we have today. They didn't have all the sonar equipment and the back then it was probably a whole bunch of hicks out there with a piece of hay in their mouth, dig up right over there. They were digging. They were just digging up stuff, and we're gonna move the body of the. They moved the certain bodies and the funerals. I'm sorry, the cemeteries. They moved probably certain elite members of the community. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's grave sites weren't moved.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's just I can't even imagine how that went.
Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of lakes, and if you're watching
In the United States, really.
Yeah, a lot of lakes that are in a lot of states that are man-made lakes, and they are they're created over communities, over Black communities.
Of course.
And it's kind of sad, like you said. I'm not quite sure that they knew what they were doing, but that is probably one of the reasons why we have so many deaths.
Well, you know, we didn't matter. We didn't matter. You know, the value of a Black life was not the same as, you know, hopefully we've kind of made our presence felt, and we're a little more respected, not even enough. But in that area, we've been mistreated for a long time. So our lives didn't have the value. They didn't care. They didn't care about displacing our families or making the father have to sacrifice or run, or, you know, and making the mom and kids have to go another way, or making someone jump over into the river. It was just really, really poor treatment. And for me, I say this: you can't drain the lake. We need it as a source of water and power. Apparently, there's hydroelectricity coming from the lake, but they can definitely clean it and do their due diligence and clean it.
Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. You never know when I might be in the comments. And also, thank you guys for continuing to watch.